Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So as of recently, EA did release a short trailer, revealing little bits of FIFA 21. It was just a quick action trailer. It was actually mixed with Madden as well, the NFL. So we didn't really get to take much away from it, in all honesty, but it still got me thinking about FIFA 21 career mode, and as I like to do every year, I like to put a career mode wish list together. So that is exactly what we're going to be doing today in this video. So I have made a FIFA career mode wish list for the last two FIFAs, and to be fair, the last two wish lists have been almost identical, and I think this one is going to be the third time running of it being almost identical. Although in saying that, I did have a look back at my FIFA 20 career mode wish list, and a couple of things were actually answered and they were actually put into the FIFA 20 career mode, which is decent. But I do believe that some things that I did want and they were put in, they could still be improved upon. But you'll see what I mean as we do get into it. So let's get into my list. I have got, I think, about 8, 9 or 10 things I've written down. So we're going to go through them, and then of course you let me know what you think about them in the comments down below, and also give me any suggestions that you have or any things that you want to see implemented into FIFA 21 career mode. So let's get into it. So first and foremost, it's something I've been screaming out for a very, very long time now, and I don't see why it shouldn't be put in or why it can't be put in. And that is a create a club mode, something that I think all of us have dreamed of in career mode. It doesn't have to be massively in depth, just a case of you can maybe swap places with a club that's in any league you want, because you do have the ability to swap and chop and change teams from leagues from different countries all over the place. You can do that, so why can't you create a club and just take over someone else's place in a league? For example, League 2, take over from a club there. You can create your own badge, create your own kit, and all that kind of stuff, because you can already do that anyway in pro clubs. So I don't understand why you can't do this in career mode. Do you know what I mean? And then of course you choose your stadium from one of the generic stadiums you already have, which is an issue in itself, which we'll come to later on. And then of course, if you need to make a team, then you could have a difficulty setting. So for example, if you put yourself in League 2 and then you could put that in difficulty as very hard, then maybe you only have 5 million to try and choose an entire squad of players, a little bit like the fantasy league that you can do in Football Manager. But of course, if you wanted to make it a bit easier on yourself, you could go very easy. You could get given 200 million and make yourself a fantasy team and stick them in League 2. Do you know what I mean? Because then you can choose what kind of challenge you'd like to do, and it's just fun. It's fun to create your own team, create your own name, badge, kit, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that'd be really fun. Next on the list is a kit editor. Now, kind of similar to Create a Club, I suppose, where I said you can make your own kit. But in this, with kit editor, I meant more so, with teams that you've already that are already in the game. So, for example, you could be Sunderland, like I am in most of my career modes, and then at the end of every season, you have the option to edit your kit, which is just realistic anyway. It probably isn't going to happen, and probably will never ever happen due to sponsorships of kits and stuff like that. But it is quite frustrating that you play in 15 seasons in a career mode, and everyone is wearing the same kit year in, year out. Even if you can just change little things like the pattern of a kit, or just a slight pattern or slight colouring. Do you know what I mean? Nothing massive. It doesn't have to be too in depth. It's just freshens things up from looking the exact same every single year. Now, next up on the list is the potential system. Now, to be fair, EA did implement the dynamic potential system in FIFA 20, which I did like, but they didn't quite give us, and they didn't deliver exactly what they said the potential system is, or the dynamic potential system is, should I say, because they led us to believe that regardless of like an age of a player, if they're playing well and they're playing consistently, they can remain at a high rating. But I still think they're still incredibly harsh on players over the age of 30, because there's some players that you just know that they could go on for God knows how long. I mean, look at like Ronaldo now. He's he is aging. Ibrahimovic, for example, he's in his late 30s now, but he can still do a job for most teams across the world. Do you know what I mean? But for some reason in FIFA, they seem to despise any player over the age of 30, and ratings drop at a rapid rate. And this dynamic potential system just doesn't seem to help it out at all, regardless of how an older player is playing. Although I do need to give it to EA a little bit for actually implementing the dynamic potential system, because this was the big thing I wanted for a very long time. And to be fair, it does kind of work, but only with younger players. For example, Troy Parrott in my career mode, he is set to have, I think, 86 or 87 potential. A lot of players have that set in the database, don't they? But I managed to get him to 91 rated, so it just shows that it can fluctuate with this, dynamic potential system, which I do really, really like. Now, next on the list is a youth team. Again, it doesn't have to be massively in-depth, but just a place where you can put players that you know that you're not going to use for a while. Because for me, I don't like loaning players out because I don't feel like it benefits them enough. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it just gets them off our backs for a little bit. Whereas we can still keep our eyes on our players. If they're in a youth team, maybe you can have a youth team manager that you can hire, and he can, give you reports on players that you stick in there. Because for me, you don't even need to do like a big in-depth league, but just that players are going to get game time if you leave them in a youth squad. Maybe they have to be under the age of 23 or something like that for you to be able to put them in there. But at least it keeps you off the back. It keeps them off your back. When they're asking for game time, when they're not quite at that level yet. So if you keep them in a youth squad, you've got yourself a youth coach who can improve that player. Then when they're ready, you can bring them in. It saves them just moaning, asking for game time when you know that they're not at that level yet. Now on to play interaction. Now they did actually bring this into FIFA 20, which was decent, I guess. You can actually answer players' complaints when they're moaning about game time, or if they're saying, thank you for letting me have X amount of game time, and you can actually make the morale go higher or lower. And I do actually like that, but you still can't approach them. Do you know what I mean? Or so it would be nice to warn them. Say like, I'm going to give you a break for a couple of weeks because I want to give someone else a chance, rather than them being surprised a couple of weeks later when they haven't got the game time they usually have and they're having a hissy fit. Do you know what I mean? It'd just be nice to interact them and just approach them about different things, maybe contracts, and just speak to them and say, okay, we're going to give you this at the end of the season, I'm going to do this or that, rather than they're going in a tantrum and you only get X amount of responses you're allowed to give them, and it goes pear-shaped because you're not given the ability to give in a certain response, if that makes sense. So maybe just a broadened out player interaction system would be really nice. And that kind of leads into my next one, which is more in-depth press conferences. Because press conferences are a massive part of being a football manager, do you know what I mean? There's a lot of managers that have different kind of relationships with the press, like Jose Mourinho, Klopp, managers like that. It's really interesting to see them have interviews and how they respond, and they get themselves a relationship with the press and with the media. Whereas with this, to be fair, they did implement a slightly more in-depth, press conference and interviews, post-match interviews and pre-match interviews and stuff like that. But they give you like the sort of same 3 or 4 questions every single game, regardless of the outcome of the game. It's usually, how do you believe you did today? Do you think you should have won? Do you feel like you deserve to lose? And those are pretty much the same 3 questions or 4 questions you get all the time. And then you might get a couple of questions regarding an individual player. Usually, why didn't so-and-so play? Or so-and-so didn't play very well. And that is it. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing too in-depth at all. So I just wish that there was a bit more variation, or a lot more variation, when it comes to press conferences. Because at first I was quite excited when I saw it. I saw that it affected morale, which gave morale a meaning, because it didn't in previous FIFAs. But I just feel like it's just so bare bones, do you know what I mean? And next up is facilities improvements. I just think it'd be brilliant to be able to, it gives more meaning to your money as well. It gives you a reason to save up money rather than just throwing it out on players. And so you could save money, for example, and then think, I want to get a stadium improvement. And then, again, it kind of links in with a stadium creator, which I know will probably never ever happen. But even if you could just say, I want an improvement on the stadium, which would bring you more money in on a match day, you know what I mean? So it gives you more of an incentive to save some money. And also you could buy, or for example, you could get improvements on your training ground, which I think it could be done a bit differently. Like, for example, now you have 5 slots to train players. Maybe the better your training academy, the more slots you get. Because I like to use 2 or 3 slots for one player, then you've only got 2 left. So, for example, say you have, loads of money. Say you're a Man City, you're a Chelsea, you're a Man United, you're a PSG, Real Madrid, Barcelona. If you want to, go mad and get the best youth academy possible, maybe you could get like 10 slots or 15 slots. You know what I mean? Get some of the best, youth facilities in the world. Which it makes sense rather than every single team having 5 slots, and it just gives more of more of an incentive to save money for things like that, and it could become very, very useful, and I'd prefer that as well. It would ultimately make it more realistic. And next up is being given the ability to request additional funds. Now, I know that you can go on a little store in the top right hand corner and you can get a big investment, you get like 50, 60 odd million, but that's not what I'm talking about. Because I suppose you want to get a few of those anyway, but that isn't what I'm talking about. Say, for example, and there has been times, particularly if you're a lesser club with not much finances, and you're coming towards a certain time in the season, you've got no money, but there's quite a few contracts that need sorting out. You know, you don't have the ability to request, and a lot of players can go and you can be absolutely screwed, and that has happened to me on a few occasions, and you just think, if only I had the ability to ask the chairman for the money. Even if he says no, at least you have the ability, or maybe you can come up with a deal and say, like, you know, if you give us 50k or 100k, whatever, to sort out a couple of contracts, you could take that off next season's transfer budget, something like that. But of course, if you are maybe overachieving, maybe originally you were set a target to not get relegated, but you end up maybe in the top 10, come at the midway point in the season, you think, actually, I want to go for it now, maybe request some more funds there, so then you can add to your team in January and really push on. It's all just for different times and for different reasons, do you know what I mean? But it just gives you a reason to, you know, give you some interaction again with someone else other than the players or the press or whatever. You can have a word with the chairman, which I just think could be really cool. And next up is more player faces. Now, to be fair, in every FIFA, we usually get the odd few more players and new player faces, which is a massive thing for me. If you watch my career mode, you'll know that that is the case. I sometimes steer clear of players if their player faces are too far from what they actually look like, even if they have, or if they're an absolute bargain and they have like 90 potential. If their player faces are far too away from what they actually look like in real life, I'll stay clear from them because I don't like it. I like it to feel realistic, and if it's not, then I won't be touching them. Do you know what I mean? So I just prefer if there was a lot more player faces, or at least more effort put into the player faces that aren't exactly, you know, the real player faces. Because some of them just look terrifying, do you know what I mean? Some of them look horrifying. Now, last on my list is sponsorships. Now, sponsorships is something that was in the game in FIFA 08, so I have no idea 12 years on why we don't have it in the game. They got rid of it for some reason. And again, it gives money more of a purpose other than to just buy players, because they give you different incentives depending on which sponsor you go with. It doesn't necessarily have to be a sponsorship that sits on your kit or anything like that, because there are other sponsorships that do different things. Or they could go on the billboards and the boards around the pitch and stuff like that. Maybe they could go there, but you know, they could give you like 100 grand per game, per home game, or if they set your targets a little bit like your chairman and the owners do. They're a little bit like that, and of course they give you more money depending on how you do. So I just think that'd be really, really cool, and it's something that was in FIFA 08, so I don't understand why they're stripping back the things that we all wanted and we all loved, and they just give us crap, you know. Although, to be fair, with that being said, all the list, that's everything I want, really, particularly, like I say. But with that being said, last year, they did actually implement quite a few things I did want in career mode, but they just didn't really hit the target or hit the nail on the head with exactly the way I wanted it to do. They did try, they made a little bit more of an effort, but it's still pretty bare bones, and I'd love to see a lot more effort being put into career mode this year. Will we get it? No, probably not. I can't imagine so, not whilst Foot's making money. But either way, that will be the video, guys. Again, let me know in the comments down below what you'd like to see in FIFA 21 career mode, and if you have enjoyed the video, please hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sassy army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.